potential to become a regional hub for green hydrogen. We're delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest, Dr. Ali Islam, our energy expert. Dr. Ali, good afternoon to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me to this talk.
Thank you very much, Doctor, indeed, for your time. And now, Doctor, on his visit to the United Kingdom, the Minister of Petroleum spoke on the sidelines of the activities of the trade mission to promote green investment. This about ways to support, of course, transition to energy with low carbon emissions. Could you tell us a bit about this very important development in this specific sector, sir?
Actually, it is very important of this meeting with 16 companies dealing with industry sector and enhancing the importance of green transition to low carbon sources.
Yes.
As you know, Egypt is actually considering very strongly the use of environmental friendly sources of energy,
yes,
while because it is important to have natural gas and petroleum as a source of energy participating in the economic development of the country, but in a way to keep the climate not affected or with minimum effect to the climate.
Right.
So natural gas is known to be one of the sources which has a low carbon contribution to the emission of greenhouse gases, which cause actually the greenhouse effect and cause very many effects of the flooding and increase of temperature and many catastrophes that we are noticing that in the last years. We are hoping globally, according to the commitment of the parties that, according to Paris Convention 2015, to stay below the increase of 1.5 degrees centigrade in the global temperature. And we have to act in two ways. Reducing the emission and having to try to capture the emissions and to capture and store it. Natural gas is very low in carbon emissions compared to other resources like coal and things. And we are putting it in different ways. Actually, using natural gas as energy producing
fuel
source, fuel, and diversifying the energy mix in Egypt. Right. I would say that also using other technologies, renewable energy technologies and nuclear energy in the energy mix will reduce the total emissions. And this is the energy mix in Egypt is composed mainly of natural gas, and also renewables are very important for solar and wind. This is clean energy, and the hydrogen actually.
Yes, that actually, Dr. Ali, that leads me to my next question. As you said, Egypt is working, of course, on diversifying its renewable sources of energy, which are all green energy sources. And, of course, it is also working on producing what you said, green hydrogen. Could you tell me a bit about the potentials that exist in Egypt to become a center for the production of green hydrogen? We already know there have been several agreements signed between Egypt and various countries to further develop this production.
That's true. There are many MOUs with other parties, and also in the free zone of Suez Canal. And we are actually, the Ministry of Petroleum and Mineral Resources are investigating that with other parties of the energy sector. And hydrogen is very important, that it has a very low carbon. It has actually no carbon contribution resulting from hydrogen. But also hydrogen can be used also to produce ammonia with the nitrogen and produce fertilizer. So it is something that developing the country, but with very low effect on that. And natural gas itself is a source of hydrogen, of reaction with reforming with steam, which can produce hydrogen.
Right.
Hydrogen can be used in many different aspects. So hydrogen is very important to consider. But Egypt is lucky to have natural resources of natural gases, which they can use to produce hydrogen.
Absolutely.
And produce fertilizers and be a hub for exporting also these products, hydrogen as itself as an energy source and storage of energy, but also as producing useful products and exporting this to the outside.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Ali, the Egyptian government has taken serious steps to confront the consequences of climate change and prevent furthering these consequences. And one of these steps, of course, is resorting to renewable sources of energy, reducing carbon print, etc. How do you see the commitment from Egypt and other major countries in dealing with the consequences of climate change? What actions are they actually doing on the ground to do so?
Actually, Egypt is participating and doing it. As you know, President Sisi was head of the COP27, and next year will be United Arab Emirates are doing their best to reduce the emissions and do its commitments by different projects which reduce the emissions. The issue is now is the participation of the countries which were really have the most contribution of greenhouse emissions to help other developing countries in the greenhouse projects, producing this and producing the emissions of the whole globe.
Right.
Because it has an international, the financing institutions should actually commit themselves to that, but also the private sector, as you know, is very important because they can afford for research and development also, and have actually other technologies or reduce the price of the costly technology of producing hydrogen in a way that this can be very useful to the private sector and to the countries, and they have to finance this important things for the benefit of the whole community.
Especially because as African countries, for example, even though they are the least emitters of such detrimental environmental gases, but they are, the most affected by the consequences of climate change.
That's true. And then the different rain regimes and different shortage in water resources and extreme events of climate changes, or heat waves and flooding. So it is very complicated, and Africa as a continent is really one of the most affected yes,
phenomenal.
anything. Yes, that's
absolutely
true.
right. Dr. Ali Islam, our energy expert. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and all your insights and for joining us on today's edition of Cairo Local Time. Ladies and gentlemen, another short break and we'll be back for more. Do stay tuned.